Hey guys, it's Drummond. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you know whenever I'm posting my next video. So today's video, I kind of wanted to talk about role-playing, and by role-playing, I do not mean the things that you do in your bedroom with your significant other. What I am talking about is how all of us can play different roles when it comes to fighting for equality. So as you guys can see, I'm wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. It's got all the different names of all the different people who have been killed in unjust ways by the police. And I think it's really important for us to kind of focus on that right now, because throughout history, people in the Black community have been treated very unfairly. And when it comes to our societal structure, a lot of it is shaped in the way to help people in the white community and really oppress the people in the Black community. And I think it's really important for us to realize that when it comes to the different roles that we play, there are so many different ways to help push this movement forward, as well as the LGBT human rights movement. And I think a lot of times people forget that each of us play specific roles. So when it comes to teachers at schools, those people are going to play different roles than someone who is in the political field. And when it comes to content creators like myself, we also play a role when it comes to the content that we create. And I think it's really important that as content creators, we make sure that we educate ourselves on the topics that we're talking about before we produce any type of content, because I am a firm believer in not stepping on anyone's toes and most definitely not hurting someone who is already victimized by just being themselves. So a really famous analogy that I like to use to kind of explain the situation is you wouldn't ask a fish to climb a tree. So when it comes to people and the different roles that they play, you want to make sure that you're giving people roles that they're actually able to perform. So you wouldn't tell someone who's in a wheelchair to go run a marathon against other people who have been training and are fully capable of running with their own two legs. I think it's very important for us to realize, as an LGBT community, as a Black community, as any other minority group that's fighting for equality right now, that we need to make sure that we are helping our allies. Something that I've seen a lot online recently is people saying that it is not our place to educate people from other groups on the struggles of our group. So when it comes to LGBT, people are saying that it's not a gay person's place to have to educate someone else about the struggles of an LGBT person. It's not a Black person's place to educate a white person on the struggles of someone in the Black community. But I do believe that there are actual educators out there that their role would be to educate, because I do believe that when it comes to educating people who don't understand the situation, it's really important, because I'll tell you right now, when it comes to information on the internet, there are things out there on both sides in all different directions. So when it comes to getting accurate information, I think it's honestly better to get it directly from the source. So I do believe that when it comes to educating people on the BLM movement, I think it's really important that it is coming from a Black person's perspective, because even though I am white and I do struggle with equality when it comes to being gay, I do not understand what it means to live as a Black person in today's world. Just like a straight person really wouldn't be able to tell you what it's like to live as an LGBT person in today's world. So I think it's really important that we all pick roles that we're able to do. Something else I saw on the internet that I thought was a really good analogy was someone who does want to help the cause, someone who maybe in the white community wants to help the Black community, or someone in the straight community wanting to help the LGBT community. The way that they described it was, there's a person who really does want to help, and they come into this house that's being built, and instead of actually doing anything productive, this person is kind of just running around using all the tools wrong, smacking themselves in the head with the hammer. And it takes someone who's actually in construction or actually knows what they're doing when it comes to building a house to kind of show them, hey, I know you want to help. Here's some great ways that you can actually help that you are actually capable of doing as a white person in the Black community or a straight person in the LGBT community. I think it is important that we kind of educate people and kind of give them roles to play. So when it comes to LGBT content, I think it is really important that we find people who are in the LGBT community to kind of create educational stuff to give out to people, to help people understand our situation. I know that as an LGBT person myself, I focus a lot on my YouTube channel trying to kind of point out some perspectives to people in the LGBT or the straight community on kind of how to communicate with each other. I know that for me myself, when it comes to being gay and being Christian, I kind of am constantly in the middle of a war going on between gays and Christians, and I'm always trying to find middle ground. So for me, because I also live in a very rural area, I've had to learn how to communicate with people who think differently than I do. And I think right now we live in a world where if you think differently, people assume that you are completely against them and that you guys can't be friends. And for me, I've realized that when it comes to communicating with people, it's very different when you start asking them why they believe the things that they believe, instead of just making the assumptions and stereotyping people by the first piece of information that you find out about them. So as much as I am not a fan of Donald Trump and his policies and the things that his administration has done since 2016, I have made some good friends that have voted for Trump, and I was able to kind of communicate with them and kind of understand their perspective a little bit better, as well as we created a space where I could also share my opinions, and we had a conversation and kind of saw why we had differences in views. And I think the problem is we're also surface level with each other. So we're all up here when there's a lot of information down here that would actually make us realize how similar we are as humans and why we vote the way that we vote, why we say things and do things that we do on a regular basis. And I think we've kind of gotten to the point on social media where we're being more hurtful and harmful to society just because of all the things that we're doing and saying. But one thing I really want to point out is the fact that not everyone is an educator. Not everyone has the ability to speak to people and help other people understand new perspectives that the person's not already living. So as many times as I've seen people say that it is not their place to have to educate someone on the struggles of a certain community, I do believe that there are people out there that are trying to educate people. Maybe we as a community need to find those types of people and kind of push the people who don't understand towards those people. I also believe that when it comes to protesters, that there are people that are loud and there are people that are willing to go out and protest to get people's attention. So when it comes to a movement like this, I do believe that it is important to have people that are loud and can get people's attention. And I also think it's important to have some people that are very well spoken and can kind of help educate people on the level where it's like, hey, this is wrong. Hey, these are the reasons it's wrong. Here's the history. Here's the proof. And I think that that type of information is also very relevant to the cause. Another thing that I noticed is that a lot of people like to share their views on social media, but there's very little action behind the words that they're posting on social media. So I've seen a lot of the posts where it talks about getting the police arrested that killed Breonna Taylor. And honestly, when it comes to that, I see a lot of people posting about it. I think an important step that we need to make right now is starting to set action to the different things that we are bringing attention to. I think it's very important to make sure that everyone is registered to vote. I think it's very important that when it comes to election day, that everyone actually gets out and votes, because the people that are elected into these political positions do have power to make change in this world. And I think here in 2020, it's really starting to show that when it comes to the people that we elect, those people are the ones that get to decide where the funding of everything goes. So when it comes to our tax dollars, we've got to elect officials that are going to move that money in places where it's going to be beneficial to our cause. I've been talking to my friends a lot recently, and one thing that we've talked about is the fact that a lot of people aren't really looking for a solution. A lot of people would rather kind of point their finger and blame someone and throw hateful words at someone instead of actually saying, hey, here's an idea, maybe we can try to do this. And I think that if we start to do stuff like that, we would actually start to move us in a positive direction, and we could kind of say, hey, these are all the different things that I think would help move us in a better direction. Can we get some funding? I definitely believe that when it comes to the police departments, most cities put way too much funding into the police department. I do believe that the police do play a specific role. I do believe that when it comes to accountability, I think there are tons of good cops out there that need to hold their fellow man accountable for the things that they're doing. I've been seeing so many crazy things across all my platforms, and yes, I think most of it is horrible, but we do have to realize that there are some cops out there that are really trying to actually do good, and we want to make sure that those people rise to the top, and the bad ones that are doing things behind our backs and things that are being caught on camera now, we want to make sure that those people do end up where they belong, which is in jail or in prison, because at no point should someone's life be taken and someone else get away with it. A topic that my friends and I have been talking a lot about is the school to prison pipeline, where they talk about when it comes to people in the Black community, A lot of times the way that they are treated in school is just kind of shipping them straight to prison, just because the way that people have prejudices and automatically assume people in the Black community are doing something wrong. I really feel like if we started to kind of move some of the funding from the police department into some after-school programs, as well as some community programs, that we could really make some positive changes in the communities around us. But I'm going to end the video here, but one thing I do want you guys to kind of keep in mind, and maybe you can leave some comments in the comment section below, let's try to think about some solutions and things that we can do to kind of make things better for the underprivileged communities. A lot of times when I see people suggest solutions online, a lot of times they are attacked and people kind of instantly put why that wouldn't work. And for me, I believe that when it comes to an idea or a solution, it's something that, yes, there's going to be some kinks that we need to work out of it. And yes, maybe we need to find time, or we need to find funding, or we need to find able bodies to kind of help us move towards that solution. But I think it's really important that instead of trying to find the negatives or reasons for why that isn't going to work, we need to work together to kind of try to find ways to make different solutions work, because this problem that we have in our country and this world in general is a really big problem, and it's not going to be solved by one thing. It's going to have tons of solutions and so many different people working together in so many different fields. It's going to take teachers, it's going to take politicians, it's going to take police officers, it's going to take community leaders, it's going to take social media influencers. It's going to take us all to get to that better place. So please leave some comments in the comment section below with solutions that you think might help us move in a positive direction for the Black community, for the LGBT community, and for the Latino community, because I feel like when it comes to prejudices, these people face oppression on a regular basis, and honestly, we've got to move towards a brighter future for all of those people. Hopefully you guys are having a great week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.